Every morning for 20 years, Daniel woke up angry. The alarm clock felt like a personal attack. The traffic was always a conspiracy against him. People were too slow, too loud, too everything. Even his coffee tasted bitter, a reflection of his own soul. No matter how much sugar he piled in, he wore this anger like a heavy winter coat in the middle of summer through meetings, through dinners, through the quiet, lonely nights. Life, he had convinced himself, had dealt him a bad hand. There was no single big tragedy, just a constant drip of 1,000 small ones. The promotion that slipped through his fingers. The dreams that faded like old photographs. The years that vanished without a trace. One evening, bone-tired from another day of clenching his jaw and fighting silent battles, he slumped onto his balcony chair, staring blankly at the glittering city lights. That's when his old neighbor, Mrs. Elena, the quiet widow from next door, waved from her own balcony. She was watering her plants, humming a soft, gentle tune. Daniel had hardly exchanged more than a few words with her in years, but tonight, her voice carried across the gap. "Rough day?" she asked. He just shrugged. "Every day feels rough lately." She offered a kind, gentle smile. "Come sit with me for 5 minutes. Just 5. The jasmine is blooming, you should smell it before it's gone." Daniel's first instinct was to say no. He had walls to build, resentments to nurse. But there was something in her voice, a warmth, a kindness that demanded nothing, that made him get up and cross the short distance between their balconies. He sat on the small bench she had. She handed him a cup of warm tea, and they sat in silence at first. There were no words, just the intoxicating scent of jasmine, the distant hum of traffic softened by the night, and the quiet rustle of leaves in the breeze. Those 5 minutes stretched into 10, then 20. She started talking, telling him about her husband, who had passed away 10 years ago. She spoke of how she used to rush through every morning, always late, always stressed. One day, her husband had asked her for 5 more minutes just to hold her hand before he left for work. She'd laughed it off, saying she was too busy. He died in a car accident that very afternoon. She never got those 5 minutes back. "I learned something that day," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "Time isn't stolen from us by big, dramatic events. It's something we give away, piece by piece, in tiny little refusals. 5 minutes to really listen to someone. 5 minutes to just breathe. 5 minutes to say, 'I love you,' or 'I'm sorry.' I hoard those moments now. I treat them like treasure." As he listened, Daniel felt something crack inside him. It wasn't a dramatic shatter, but more like the slow, deliberate thawing of ice that had been frozen for years. He thought of all the 5-minute moments he had carelessly thrown away. Skipping his daughter's bedtime story because emails were urgent, brushing off his wife's quiet "How was your day?" with a non-committal grunt, ignoring the signals from his own body, screaming for just a moment of rest. The next morning was different. Daniel didn't slam the alarm off. He turned it off gently. He lay in bed for 5 deliberate minutes, just breathing, feeling the steady rhythm of his own heartbeat. He whispered a quiet thanks for another day, even if it wouldn't be perfect. Then, he picked up his phone and texted his daughter, "Love you, call me later." Over breakfast, he looked at his wife, really looked at her, and said, "I missed hearing about your day yesterday. Tell me now." At work, when that familiar tide of frustration began to rise, he didn't let it consume him. He paused. He walked outside for 5 minutes, felt the air on his skin, and reminded himself, "This moment is mine. I get to choose." It wasn't magic. The anger didn't vanish overnight. Some days still felt heavy. But those small, intentional 5-minute pauses became his anchors in the storm. They were constant reminders that a life isn't measured in the years you survive, but in the moments you truly claim. Moments where he chose presence over hurry, kindness over sharpness, and gratitude over resentment. Years later, at his own retirement party, surrounded by friends and family who loved him, someone asked him what had changed him, what had turned the tide all those years ago. Daniel smiled, a soft, genuine smile. "I stopped giving away my 5 minutes," he said. "And in return, life gave me back everything that mattered. Now, I want you to take your own 5 minutes. Right now, you can pause this video if you want. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, who or what in my life deserves my full, undivided attention today?" One small pause can create ripples that change everything. It can shift a mood, mend a relationship, or alter your entire path. You have the time, you just have to claim it. What did this story stir in you? If it hit home, I invite you to try this 5-minute practice tomorrow morning. It might just be the quiet, simple shift you've been waiting for. Thanks for listening. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And subscribe for more stories that make you think and feel.